What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, it's team selection time. So for anyone new to the channel, I do this video every single game week. I run through what my team's looking like, what my transfers are looking like, and captaincy as well. And of course, for game week 1, what my squad is looking like ahead of the new season as well. So if you've been watching my pre-season content and enjoying it and you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, go and double check whether you already have. And if you haven't, please do hit it. Let's try and hit 200k by game week 1. Otherwise, we're going to talk about Ultimate Fan and then jump into the team. So happy to say that I've partnered with Ultimate Fan by Beer52 for this video. If you haven't checked out Ultimate Fan, I'm going to give you a brief introduction about how it works. Essentially, it's fantasy football meets pack openings, but the great thing is it's completely free to play, and there's £300,000 worth of prizes over the course of this season. So if you want to give it a go, link in the description. 18 and over from the UK or Ireland is what you need to be. And like I said, you get your packs, you open them, you pick your players every single week. But the great thing is that money is spread out over the whole season, so every single game week is a new contest. So it doesn't matter if you have a bad game week, because next week you get another chance. You don't need to play over the whole season and hope that you have the most points at the end of the season. It's just not how it works. When you sign up, you'll get a base pack that will give you a bunch of players to start with, and you can sign up for the gold or silver subscription, which are going to give you not only extra packs as well, but also some benefits. There's discounts on certain sites and stuff like that as well, so make sure you check that out. I've got the gold subscription, which is $4.99 a month, and then you get extra gold packs. You don't get unlimited gold packs. You can't keep buying them. Everyone that signed up for that subscription gets the same amount of packs. Let me show you my recent opening. Recent gold pack opening. So I'm just going to open up now to show you what I got. So Ndombele for Spurs. Probably not great option. Thiago for Liverpool. I think I've already got him. And then Saka for Arsenal, who should be good again for game week 1 against Brentford if he gets minutes, right? So we'll have to wait for his availability. The great thing about this app is they are constantly adding new features. So there's a new game mode coming soon where you're basically faced up against random people, and if you win that week you'll get extra cards. You're also going to be able to trade these cards as well because you completely own them. So let's see how my team is looking. Okay, so this is how my team looks right now. I'm going to show you how to make the changes. Just a couple of things. So Golden Boot gets you double points for goals. Captaincy gets you basically double points for everything. You have that to put on 2 different players each week. The position where Aubameyang is can be a defender, a midfielder, or forward, but goals are so important in this. I would definitely go for an attacker. And you also get a team as well. So I've got Man United and Brentford. I've chosen Man United for this week, and that basically gets you extra points as well, which I'll show you in a sec. So I'm just going to click the edit button, and I'm going to put Saka, who I just got in, for Thiago, because I think Brentford's such a good fixture. Even if he starts on the bench, I definitely want him in the team. And if it looks bad for game week 2, I can change it, because every single week is a new contest, like I said. So if I click on info and just show you that, so it's £5,000 for first place, 2.5 for second place, and that pays all the way down to 200. So it's completely free to play. Yes, you can buy the gold or silver subscription, but you don't have to. You might as well give it a download and try and win some free money. And then the scoring system, so 10 points for a goal, 4 points for an assist, etc. You can read the rest there, and 5 points for a win for your team. So if Man United win, that's 5 points straight away. So it really is a great app, a good fun game to be playing alongside FPL, completely free to play if you're 18 and over from the UK or Ireland. Give it a go now, link in the description. So we'll start off with the defence, and I know a lot of people are going to watch this video that maybe haven't seen the rest of them as well. So I'm going to talk through in a bit of detail about each player, even if I've talked about them a lot before. So Sanchez is my goalkeeper of choice. I want to spend 4.5 million. It's as simple as that. I don't want to spend too much more on that. I don't know if there's really a benefit of spending 5. I certainly don't want to spend 5.5 on Martinez. I don't think he's a bad option necessarily for the start of the season, but I'm not guaranteed to lock myself into an early wildcard. And if I'm not, I want someone that I can keep long term, and I don't really want to go for maybe Watford defence or Brentford defence. I prefer just to stick to Brighton. And obviously we talked a lot about their defensive stats and how good they were last year. We're not talking about goals conceded, we're not talking about clean sheets, we're talking about expected goals conceded, and they were pretty decent last year, right? And I don't suspect they're going to be as good as Chelsea or as good as Man City, but I'm hoping they can turn that into a few more clean sheets than they had last season, and maybe we get some save points along the way with Sanchez. So he's pretty much locked in, as is Trent Alexander-Arnold. Obviously, the injury to Robertson might make Liverpool slightly poorer overall, but I don't think it's big enough to change my opinion, because the first question I would ask myself, Robertson's out, do I want to change Trent Alexander-Arnold? Well, who am I going to bring in instead? A Man City defender, possibly, a Chelsea defender. I don't even think Chilwell is going to start in game week 1, and then the fixtures are quite tough until game week 6, so I could spend that money elsewhere. but I don't think there's enough that I want to do with my attack to warrant getting rid of Trent Alexander-Arnold. And also, we've got to remember, Robertson, which we're going to come on to Shimmercast in a sec, Robertson might not be out for a huge amount of time. So when he's back, Liverpool have still got good fixtures for kind of a good few game weeks afterwards. So he's got to be in. The most attacking defender in the league, in a team that's one of the best defences in the league, with some of the best set of fixtures. Like, he's just I wouldn't say a no-brainer because he's 7.5 million, but for me, he's a no-brainer for my team, and he's locked in for sure. Luke Shaw is pretty much going to be in. The amount of chances he created last year was pretty damn high. That helps for bonus points as well. He's going to be on some set pieces, especially things like corners, maybe indirect free kicks as well. And the fixtures are quite good for Man United. And on a level, again, I quite like to look at stats. So expected goals conceded, Liverpool and Man United were on a similar kind of level last year. Now, you might say that's because of Van Dijk, but Liverpool's numbers were exactly the same the year before when Van Dijk was there. So Man United defence is pretty solid. Doesn't mean they'll start off like that. There's going to be a few players missing for the start of the season, especially in attack. Like, we don't know when Cavani's going to start. Obviously, Rashford's out. Martial's fitness isn't necessarily up to scratch. So that's not necessarily a defensive problem, but obviously it might limit them a little bit in attack, which means a bit more defending to do possibly. Varane might not be ready for game week 1 either. Sancho, the same thing. So Man United a little bit up in the air, but the fact that Shaw played against Everton kind of made me think he's pretty much going to start game week 1 now. The fixtures are good. He's attacking, so he's pretty much locked in. So Sanchez, Trent and Shaw are locked in. Let's talk about Shimmercast. There's a lot of discussion in the community right now about him. For me, there is zero chance that I put him in instead of Trent Alexander-Arnold. That's really where you get the big value, because then you can spend an extra 3.5 million on your attack. But I do think I want some players from Liverpool after Robertson gets back, and that's why Trent's in. So for me, it's as well as Trent instead of him, right? So I'm not going instead of Trent. It's in as well as. There's a lot of discussion around. He takes up a Liverpool spot. What if you want to get Robertson back in later? What if you want to get Jota back in later? The thing for me is there's a lot of 7.5 million and below midfielders to choose from. And I don't think that Jota is necessarily going to get enough minutes to warrant a place in my side anyway. Like, I do. If Firmino wasn't fit, if Firmino was injured, it's a totally different conversation, and Jota's probably nailed in my team at that point. But Firmino is fit. He just started yesterday. He scored 2 goals. Doesn't mean he'll start game week 1, but he is going to take minutes off of Jota, right? Jota could get minutes for Mane, etc. But him starting every week and getting 80 to 90 minutes is not assured by any kind of stretch of the imagination. And that doesn't change when Robertson's back. So for my team, it's not been that often that I've had Robertson or Jota in there when I've been tinkering over the summer. So to lock a Liverpool spot's not necessarily the end of the world. And when I think about what happens when Robertson's back, well, if I want to get a defender in, then it's going to be Shimmercast that goes anyway. I'm going to have to figure out how to get the money. Could be Van Dijk, by the way. Bit cheaper than Robertson, possibly. Could be whoever partners Van Dijk. The fact that Matip was next to him in the last pre-season friendly makes me think it'll be him that starts the season, but he's never really not injured for long either, so we'll have to see what happens there. But for me, it doesn't feel like it's blocking a spot. And when Robertson does come back, I'll just bench Shimmercast. I've got a pretty good feeling I'm going to wildcard fairly early anyway, so I can fix it like that. The only time when it's really going to make me in a stuck position is when, or if, sorry, Firmino was to get injured or Mane was to get injured, someone like that, and Jota was then pretty much going to start every game, then I would want Jota, and I would have to get rid of Shimmercast to do that, because he would be blocking a spot, because surprise, surprise, Salah's coming when you look at my midfielders in a minute. But I just think he presents such good value. Like, sometimes I try and keep FPL simple. 4 million, fullback, playing for Liverpool, 2 really good fixtures to open. If Robertson was fit and I had him in my team, I'd probably play him against Chelsea anyway, so that's not even a factor for me. And then when Robertson's back, I just bench him, and I've got Ayling on the bench as well to come in. And that could be Ben White as well. It could just be a different 4.5 million defender. So I think that backline for me is fairly settled. So the main thing that's changing in my midfield, like kind of not day to day, but has changed over the summer, is that Mahrez spot, right? For a lot of the summer, and when I've been tinkering and putting my drafts out, that's been Son as well. The only reason it's Mahrez right now is because of what it lets me do up front. Sometimes you just look at a team and it feels balanced, right? It's a 3-4-3. It's got good players in each position. It's quite flexible. That's what this team feels like when you see the forwards in a second. And Mahrez obviously got some pretty decent fixtures, including Norwich at home. Now, I'm a little bit concerned that they play Spurs and Arsenal in game game week 1 and 3. Then it's the international break. Man City will start to get players back. Pep's already spoken about the fact that some players won't need the pre-season minutes. They'll just be back and available straight away. But he still needs to assess who they are, right? We know like the likes of Sterling, for example, are fine. But Foden's out for a while. Grealish is just getting kind of up to scratch, I would say, with how Man City are going to play. We don't know about De Bruyne yet. It does look pretty good for Mahrez to get good minutes over the first 3 game weeks. What I will say is past game week 3, I'm not so sure about him. So I'm already looking at this team and I'm thinking Mahrez is the one that I'm going to have to sell soon. Not necessarily a bad thing because he's 9 million. So if I could find an extra 0.5 million, which is looking difficult to be honest right now with the way the team's set up, I'd go to Sancho, million obviously to go to Son. So they are options that I'm thinking about. But also I can downgrade into whichever 7, 7.5, 6, 6.5 midfielder looks good. And possibly that's my way to go from Shimmercast to Van Dijk or Robertson. Right? So I'm already thinking about that. But I just think that Norwich fixture is enticing. And that's why Mahrez is in the team right now. The rest of the 3, look, they've not changed. They're not going to change. Unless there's an injury, Salah and Fernandes and Rafinha are locked in. I'll be honest, at the end of this, when I go through my team about players I'm still not 100% sure about, because no one is, right? We're all FPL managers. No one's 100% sure until we hit that deadline. But Salah, Fernandes and Rafinha are just not going to go anywhere for me. Salah's a captain for most of the first 6 game weeks. He will definitely be my captain game week 1. That's not going to change. Fernandes, I get that. I've talked about this a lot, right? I get the fact that people aren't going to captain him, therefore he's not value. But for me, there's lots of transfer speculation rumours like Lukaku's coming in, Kane still might move. Possibly moving Fernandes to a forward for a similar price is something I'm thinking about. I can do that in 2 moves. So he's staying. Plus, his fixtures are so good that in game week 4, for example, he might even be the best captain against Newcastle. In game week 3, when Salah plays Chelsea, Fernandes could be captain against Wolves if Wolves aren't looking good. So I wouldn't say I won't captain him at all, but he gives me that flexibility. And Rafinha, I just think, is the best 6.5. Like I said on the video yesterday that some people are trying to figure out the value players for the season and put them in their game week 1 squad. And someone said I'm doing that with Rafinha, which possibly is slightly true. But if he can get 1 return in the Man United or Liverpool game, then I think he'll be valued because I think there's returns in all the other games which are much easier. And 6.5, I don't want to be messing around with that slot. I just want him in, leave him there. The numbers are brilliant. He's a great attacking player. There is nobody anywhere close to him at 6.5 or under with similar underlying numbers. We're talking expected goals, expected assists. If you go look it up, Rafinha is clear of all of them. That's why he's in my team. And Leeds are so attacking as well. They're going to attack against Liverpool. They're going to attack against Man United. So this is where the balance comes in, right? So Tony, Antonio and Wilson is a pretty nice looking front line. And overall, like I look at that team, I think it's pretty solid. 3-4-3. The only real concerns are Shimmercast, but I've got Ayling on the bench. And the reason right now that I've picked Ayling, it could be Ben White, is if Robertson comes back really early, then Ayling has a pretty good game week 2 and 3. But also, if I can get away with Shimmercast up until like game week 4, then Ayling's fixtures afterwards are quite good. But Ben White is someone that I'd be looking at as well because Arsenal's fixtures from game week 4 onwards are decent. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, Shimmercast is only really for 2 weeks because then he's got Chelsea and Leeds. But they are games that I would play Robertson in if I had. They're games that I'm going to play Trent in. So like I said before, I don't really mind putting him in there. So the bench is a little bit thin. The thing with Shimmercast is I feel like because he's probably going to play, let's hope. If he doesn't, we're all screwed, right? Anyone that goes for him. I can afford another 4 million on the bench just to really get the value into the team. And that's why I've got Amity there as well. Having 2 £4 million defenders is not something that I would usually do. But I think this is a unique opportunity to maybe tap into that just for the start. I'm not saying I'll have that for the rest of the time. And I'm already thinking about things that I could do. So, for example, Wilson 7.5 million. I could go to a 3-5-2. And downgrade Wilson's price point, so 7.5 to a 7, like Barnes, maybe Ben Rama, maybe Willock, maybe Harrison, whoever. Buendia, 6.5 million. And that's a way to get a bit more money out of the team and maybe upgrade Amity to like a Ben White. So have Ayling and White or have Veltman, whoever it might be, right? Another 4.5 million defender. That's something that I'm considering. I'll run through that in a minute when I do the tinkering. But let's just talk about these 3 forwards because I'm talking about forwards and I've not talked about them at all. Again, locked player. The only forward really that's absolutely locked here is Antonio. because I just think the fixtures are so good. I am worried about Europa League for West Ham because Antonio's hamstrings will not cope with Premier League and Europa League. They still haven't signed a new striker. There's time to do that, of course, before the Europa League games start, but that is a bit of a concern. But on the flip side, he's had a very good pre-season in terms of getting minutes in the legs. And look, we just know how good he is, right? So Antonio is locked unless there's an injury. The reason that Wilson and Tony aren't locked is because, like I just said, I'm not 100% sure whether I'm going 3-5-2, 3-4-3. But I do think if I only had 7.5 to spend, it would be Wilson. If I only had 6.5, it would definitely be Tony. In the back of my head, I'm wondering, should I have Danny Ings, right? Those Villa fixtures for the first three are so good. And like I spoke about in yesterday's video, no matter what formation Villa play, whether it's a 2 up front, whether it's a 1 up front, that is where Danny Ings is going to be. Watkins is going to be the one that moves about. So if they play a 2, he might play up top with Ings. Maybe he'll play slightly off him. But if they play like a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, it'll be Watkins that moves to the wings or on the bench. I don't think that's going to happen, but he'll be the one that moves. Ings won't. So he's definitely in my consideration because I think he'll be out of penalties when El Ghazi doesn't play as well. Now, straight away, I'm thinking, how can I do that? The easiest way is Mahrez down to a 7.5 because he's 9 million, and then Tony up to Ings. So have Ings, Antonio, Wilson. That's a very flexible front line. Or you just find 0.5 million to get Wilson up to Ings. But to be honest, again, it really would have to be Mahrez because Sanchez, Trent and Shaw are locked in. Tsimikas, you can't go down any further. There's no way I'm going for 3-4 million pound defenders. That's just crazy talk. Antonio's locked. Tony couldn't go down really to a 6. Not that I'd be happy with it at the start of the season. Pukki maybe from game week 5 onwards, but not now. And Fernandes, Salah and Rafinha are all fairly locked. Now, people will say you could do Rafinha to Harrison, Rafinha to Benrahma, but I don't want to do that. So realistically, it would be Mahrez down to someone to fund the Wilson move. But again, around the 8.5 million price mark, there aren't too many players. Like Havertz, yes, but I'm going to quickly want rid of him. So I don't want to start with him. So that's why I'm thinking maybe either I just go without Ings. Like, Ings is good, but I mean, so are these 3 strikers I've bought, right? They've all got good fixtures. Tony and Wilson are definitely on penalties. I don't think Antonio will be. So it's still a good forward line. And I've got to maybe with Ings, what I'm thinking to myself is it a bit of fear of missing out? I know he's a good option, but is he so good that I need to change this team around? So I think he's looking good. I think 4 million defenders obviously present a little bit of a risk, but with Tsimikas, it's one I think I'm willing to take. Locked-in players, I would say Sanchez, Trent, Shaw, Rafinha, Salah, Fernandes and Antonio. So definitely 7. But if I stick with this kind of structure, I think it's these players. Son is the one. Do I want Son? And if I do, how do I do that? Again, Wilson down to a 4.5 and then moving Mahrez up to Son is 1 million and then maybe go for Benrahma or someone like that in midfield. But yeah, that's how the team's looking. So if that's what you want to see, there you go. I'm going to do some tinkering now to show you how I can play around with it. Okay, so I do this most weeks on these videos just because it's kind of easier to visualize and maybe just talk you through what I'm thinking. Obviously, for Game Week 1, it's a bit different because I can literally just lock in the moves and show you. I can't do that normally. I didn't really talk too much about Gilmore. Don't worry, that could be Brownhill. I'm not really too bothered. They're both probably going to play, get me minutes, and get me no attack and return. So right now I'm on Gilmore. It could change to Brownhill. That is just one of those positions that I won't spend too much brain power on because who really cares? It's a 4.5 million midfielder. If there was a massive standout one, everyone will be talking about them anyway, right? So I'm not too worried about that. So these are some of the moves that I am thinking of that maybe people are wondering when I've talked about Wilson in particular, right? So the first one is to get Son in. Right, so to potentially get Son in rather than just going up to Ings, okay? Well, let's do the Ings one first, right? So let's just put Ings in. That would probably be instead of Wilson. So you put Ings in, and then you've got 8.5 to spend. But if you look at the midfielders for 8.5, there's not a massive amount of option. Like if I list them in price order, Havertz, Pulisic, they're just not options for me at all, really, for the start of the season. Grealish, maybe. Possibly, but again, it feels like a bit of a punt. Pepe's fixture in Game Week 1 is great. Game Week 2 and 3 are awful. Like, I've spoken about this a lot, right? Jota I can't have because of Tsimikas, so he's not an option. Greenwood, possibly. But if I'm going all the way down to, like, a Greenwood anyway, then I probably would keep Wilson and maybe upgrade Tony to Ings instead. So that's one way to do it. The other, like, maybe more interesting move is Son. Okay, so there's kind of 2 ways to fit Son into this. And I'm still umming and ahhing about whether Son is the better option than Mahrez. The thing with Mahrez is, right, I can sit here and tell you right now that he is good for minutes from game week 1, probably 2 and 3. And I fully believe that. I do. But you know what's going to happen? When Man City are due to play, I'm going to be refreshing for the team sheet because I will not trust that he's going to start, even though I know he probably will, right? So Son, you don't get that, okay? Whether Kane's there or not, I'm not really too bothered about. Man City's not a great fixture, but Wolves, Watford and Palace are. They're decent fixtures. So Son is the one that's kind of keeping me up at night, essentially, right? So there's a few ways to do it. So he just goes in, you keep the rest of the team, you do Wilson down to a 6.5. But again, once you've already got Tony, I'm not convinced there's too many options that I would really want there. Like Morpay, possibly. Abraham sounds like he's going to be moving out of the Premier League. Rodrigo, I wouldn't be convinced that he keeps starting, but let's see what happens down the line. So that's not really an option for me. So one of the things you could do, or I could do, is move down to a 4.5 million forward, and then either go for a 6.5 million midfielder. It could be Ben Rama, it could be Willock at 6 million, then upgrade Amity. That's an option as well. And then you keep Tony, right? So let me just do this just to kind of help you visualize it, or help me visualize it as well, to be honest. Let's just put Ben Rama in because he is the Twitter darling right now. So either you keep 0.5 in the bank or you upgrade Amity. I would probably just put Ben White or what's his name in, Veltman at Brighton. Again, I'll choose that later on. I'm just thinking about structure again. And then you take out this guy and then boom. You've got this team. So you've got Son in there in a 3-5-2 with Rafinha, with Tony, with Ben Rama. So my first thought is, how flexible is this team? Who am I maybe going to want to switch to? Sancho, possibly. Son's an easy way to do that. Am I going to want to go to Ings or Wilson or someone up front? Well, again, I would have to make a decision of taking Son out. So Son then becomes the cash cow instead of Mahrez. So that's something in the back of my mind. That position, although I'm kind of wanting to spend that kind of money, 9 to 10 million, I'm already thinking about how I get out of it as well. But that looks like quite a good team, because even though you've got Son in there and you've got Shimikas, once Shimikas goes, he just goes on the bench. You've got White and Ayling that rotate quite nicely instead. And yes, it's going to lock that Liverpool spot. But if I really need it, like if Jota is playing week in, week out, then I will make that move. I will take that hit, or I will save up 2 transfers. So that's kind of what I'm considering. The Mahrez team, I think, looks nice and balanced. The one thing I don't like about this one is you got a 6.5 forward, you got a 6.5 midfielder, and another 6 million midfielder. How flexible is that? But realistically, I would just have to make a decision around Son. If I want to make a big move up front or a big move in midfield, he would have to go. Let me know what you think. So there we go, game week 1 team selection, fairly locked in. Like I always say, I'm quite open with you that I am just another FPL manager and I sometimes make late decisions. So there might be a few changes. If I get them locked in ahead of time, then I might make another video. But I'm fairly happy with how that team looked. If we're talking about a balanced team, I think that looked pretty balanced, even if it has to have 2 4 million defenders. So let me know in the comments below what you think. If you did enjoy it, please do give it a like. Keep hitting that subscribe button. I would love to hit 200,000 by the game week 1 deadline. It's looking tricky, but with your help, it's possible. Lots of people that are watching these videos at the moment are not subscribed. So go and double check. It's free to do. You'll make me a happy man. Go and check that out. If you haven't looked at Ultimate Fan either, obviously I spoke about that earlier on in the video. You want to sign up and play. There's a link in the description below. It's a really good, fun game to play alongside FPL, and it's free to play as well. You don't have to sign up for the subscription if you don't want to. And lastly, thanks to everybody that signed up on Patreon. We've got a few new recruits this week, or for this video: Kevlar, Parad IP, Adrian M, and Jack J. Thank you for helping me continue to do this full time, which is absolutely ridiculous to say still. I still can't believe it, but there we go. So yeah, I'll be back with plenty more videos this week. We're going to do a couple of, hopefully, team reveals with some people outside of the FPL community as well. So keep a lookout for that. I'll have my game week preview, captaincy, other streams as well this week. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Give it a like. Good luck with your game week 1 team selections, and I'll see you soon.